The quiet wait. There is a kind of tiredness that sleep does not fix. You can rest your body, but your mind keeps running. Thoughts stack on top of each other. Responsibilities blur together. Days move forward, yet something inside you feels paused. Not broken, not dramatic, just quietly heavy. And what makes it harder is that most people around you don't see it. You still show up. You still function. You still smile when required. But inside, you feel like you're carrying something you can't quite name. If you're here listening to this right now, there's a reason. Not because you're failing, but because a deeper part of you is asking for space. The pressure no one talks about modern life rarely attacks us directly. It overwhelms us slowly, with noise, with urgency, with constant input. You're expected to be reachable at all times, productive every day, emotionally available, yet endlessly resilient. Somewhere along the way, rest started to feel like guilt. Stillness began to feel like falling behind. And so you keep moving. Not always because you want to, but because stopping feels uncomfortable. Because stopping would mean you might finally hear what you've been avoiding. The quiet questions. What am I actually doing this for? Who am I becoming? Why do I feel so disconnected even when things look fine? These questions don't mean something is wrong with you. They mean you're becoming aware. When effort stops feeling rewarding, many people believe that if they just try harder, everything will eventually make sense. So they push, they improve themselves, they discipline their habits, they chase better versions of who they think they should be. And sometimes it even works. Externally, but internally, a strange emptiness appears. You reach milestones that once motivated you and feel nothing. Or worse, you feel pressure to keep going, even though you don't know why anymore. This is not failure. This is misalignment. Effort without meaning eventually drains the soul, and no amount of achievement can replace a sense of inner direction. The cost of living outside yourself, when your life is shaped primarily by expectations, comparison, and external validation, you slowly lose touch with your own inner compass. You begin to measure your worth by speed, by visibility, by approval. And the more you look outward, the harder it becomes to feel grounded inward. Scrolling becomes automatic. Busyness becomes normal. Distraction becomes comfort. But beneath all of it, there is a quiet longing to return to yourself. Not to escape life, but to finally live it from the inside. Awareness is not selfish. There is a misunderstanding that focusing on yourself is selfish. That slowing down means you're giving up. That questioning your direction means you're weak. None of this is true. Self-awareness is not indulgence. It is responsibility. When you understand yourself, you stop projecting your confusion onto others. When you know your limits, you stop burning out. When you are grounded internally, your presence becomes calmer, clearer, more intentional. The strongest people are not the loudest. They are the most aligned. A simple moment of return. Right now, you don't need a solution. You don't need a plan. You need a moment to stop running mentally, a moment to listen. If it feels right, take a slow breath. Not to change anything, just to notice. Notice how your body feels. Notice where tension lives. Notice what emotions are present without trying to label them. This is not about fixing yourself. It's about reconnecting. And every time you do this, even briefly, you reclaim a piece of yourself from the noise. Why so many people feel lost today? There was a time when life moved at a human pace. Days had rhythm. Silence existed. Waiting was normal. Now everything is instant. Information arrives faster than the mind can process. Opinions replace reflection. Noise replaces understanding. And without realizing it, many people stop living from the inside. They begin reacting instead of choosing. The world that never lets you stop, modern life, doesn't leave space for not knowing. If you feel uncertain, you're told to fix it. If you feel uncomfortable, you're told to distract yourself. If you feel lost, you're told to optimize, upgrade, or push harder. Very rarely are you told to pause and listen. So you learn to keep moving even when something inside you is asking for rest. Not physical rest, but inner rest. How comparison silently steals your direction. Comparison is subtle. It doesn't announce itself as harm. It shows up as motivation, as inspiration, as just checking. But over time, it shifts your attention outward. You stop asking, "What feels right for me?" and start asking, "Am I doing enough compared to others?" The problem is not seeing other lives. The problem is forgetting your own. When you measure yourself by someone else's timeline, your inner compass begins to spin, and confusion grows. Scrolling as escape, not relaxation. Many people think scrolling is how they rest, but rest does not overstimulate the mind. Rest creates space. Endless content keeps your attention busy, so you don't have to sit with your own thoughts. And yet, the more you avoid stillness, the louder the inner discomfort becomes. This is why silence can feel unsettling, not because something is wrong, but because something important has been waiting to be heard. Success without meaning feels heavy. There is a deep exhaustion that comes from chasing goals that were never truly yours. You can build a life that looks impressive and still feel empty, because meaning is not found in achievement alone. It is found in alignment. When your actions match your values, even simple days feel fulfilling. When they don't, even extraordinary success feels hollow. This is why so many people reach milestones and quietly ask, "Is this it?" Why clarity does not come from thinking harder. When people feel lost, they often try to think their way out. They analyze, they overthink, they search for answers. But clarity does not live in noise. It emerges in awareness. The more pressure you place on yourself to figure everything out, the further clarity retreats. Understanding arrives when the mind softens, not when it tightens. The illusion of constant motion. Movement feels safe. Being busy feels productive. But constant motion can become a way to avoid truth. Because if you never stop, you never have to ask where you're going. Slowing down does not mean you are falling behind. It means you are finally checking if the path still belongs to you. A gentle shift in perspective. What if feeling lost is not a problem to solve, but a signal to listen? What if confusion is not failure, but an invitation to realign? Life does not ask you to have everything figured out. It asks you to be honest with yourself. And honesty begins with awareness. The beginning of a different way. Awareness is quiet. It does not rush you. It does not judge you. It simply notices. When you notice your thoughts, they lose their power. When you notice your habits, they stop running your life unconsciously. And when you notice your inner state, choice becomes possible again. This is where change begins, not with force, not with pressure, but with clarity. When you no longer know who you are, there comes a moment in life when you realize you've been living through roles for far too long. The one who has to be strong, the one who has to be okay, the one who can't afford to fall apart. And slowly, you lose sight of the person beneath those roles. You forget what feels natural, what feels honest, what feels like you. The emptiness you feel doesn't come from lack. It comes from distance from yourself. An identity built from expectations. Much of what you believe about yourself was shaped from the outside, from praise, from criticism, from standards you never chose. Over time, you learned how to become a version of yourself that was acceptable. Not too slow, not too different, not too emotional, but the cost of that adaptation is quiet disconnection. You begin living a life that looks right, but doesn't feel true. Why restlessness never really goes away? Restlessness is not a flaw, it's a signal. It shows up when there is a gap between who you are inside and how you are living. You can do everything right and still feel wrong, because your intuition doesn't care about approval. It only cares about alignment. Awareness is not about changing yourself. Many people think self-growth means becoming someone else, but real transformation doesn't begin with action. It begins with awareness, noticing thoughts without immediately believing them, allowing emotions without trying to push them away, seeing patterns without self-blame. When awareness is present, force is no longer necessary. Change happens because clarity appears. Inner truth is always quiet. Truth doesn't argue. It doesn't rush you. It doesn't demand. It waits. It's often buried beneath noise, fear, and expectation. When you slow down enough, it becomes obvious. Not dramatic, not loud, just deeply right. You don't need to become someone new. You don't need a new identity. You don't need a more impressive version of yourself. You only need to stop abandoning who you already are. Stop living as if your worth must constantly be proven. When you allow yourself to simply be, peace begins to settle in. Small things begin to change. When you live from clarity, saying no becomes easier. You stop trying so hard to please. You feel lighter, not because life is easier, but because you're no longer fighting it. Trust begins to return, not the belief that everything will be perfect, but the confidence that you can meet whatever comes with presence. You are never somewhere else. There is nowhere you need to get to. There is no version of yourself you must become. There is only a return, in this time with awareness. You don't need to search for meaning. You only need to slow down enough to realize that meaning has always lived in how you show up. If there's one thing you take with you from this video, let it be this. You don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to keep running. You only need to stop long enough to remember who you are. From there, everything else will find its place.